I'd like to go over a very important concept called indexing. Now, this is an important distinction to make. This is not talking about an index fund. This is talking about indexing. What is the difference? Well, indexing will basically just try to follow the growth or loss pattern of a particular index. You're going to design a mutual fund or an ETF fund to follow some type of an index, like an S&P 500 index fund would try to perform like the S&P 500. So it's going to put the stocks inside of that fund that the S&P 500 has in it. And it is going to mimic the growth or the loss of the S&P index. That would be an index fund. You can do the same thing with a Dow Jones index, with a NASDAQ index, lots of different indexes out there. You can go pretty in depth. I mean, there's S&P multi-asset risk controlled index. There's a Morgan Stanley dynamic balance index. So there's a lot of different indexes out there that can be tracked. And if you are developing a fund to track that index, that is called an index fund. That is not the concept of indexing. The concept of indexing is used in different financial products like fixed index annuities or equity linked CDs, to where they have principal protection. That is the big key. So the big difference, one of the biggest differences, I guess, in this would be that factor is when you are indexing, you have downside protection in whatever financial vehicle you are using, whether that's a fixed index annuity, index universal life, equity indexed CD, equity linked CD, excuse me. And they all have that downside protection, which means whatever index that they are tied to, whether it be S&P 500, the Dow Jones, multi-asset, whatever, right? If that index goes down, you do not lose money in that financial vehicle. You have a zero-based floor. Zero is your hero, is what some people like to say. I hate that saying, though. So you cannot lose money with indexing. With an index fund, you can. So indexing. You don't lose any money when the market goes down. You get some of the gain when the market goes up. That's one of the trade-offs. You don't get all of the gain. You get some of it in most cases. And so let's look at a visual here that could help you with this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about. All right, so what you're looking at this is a fixed index annuity. It is the power of index interest crediting and downside protection. So what are the benefits of index annuities with annual reset? This is another thing with indexing, with that terminology. There is something called a reset or an annual reset. What does that mean? It means basically, I guess in layman's terms, you get a do-over every year. That's kind of how I put it. Basically, if you look at this chart, far left of the screen, the far bottom left of the screen, you'll see four basic lines, four different colored lines. You'll see a red line, a blue line, a green line, and a gray line. The ones to really pay attention to are the red line and the green line. The red line is the S&P 500. The green line would be a financial product, in this case, a fixed indexed annuity that is tied to the S&P 500. The difference is when the market goes down, you don't lose anything. And when the market goes up, you are going to get 50% of the gain. So in this case, 50% of the gain. So those are the two that we want to focus on in this case. So what you'll see then, in the very first year, so we're going all the way back to 1998, and then we're going all the way through 2019. You'll see the dates, the years along the bottom, along the x-axis, and you'll see the amount of money that you have in it going along the y-axis. And this is going to start with $100,000. So we're going to look at $100,000 back in 1998 and look at how that performed with indexing versus an index fund, in this case, the S&P 500. And actually, it's not even an index fund. It's just the straight S&P 500. So you'll see we start off with $100,000, and right away, the S&P goes up to where we would have $119,526 in it. Well, we only got 50% of the gain in the index annuity, and so we're sitting at $109,763. Index annuity not looking so good right out of the gate. Then in 1999 to 2000, 2000 was a down year, a negative year. And so we lost money. And so now the red is sitting, the S&P is sitting at 107,407. Where is the fixed index annuity sitting? The exact same spot it sat in 1999 when it had that $9,763 of gain. It kept the $9,763,000 of gain. It didn't lose anything. Okay, so every single year that it locks in, that's the annual reset. That's what that means. It locks that money in, and now that is the new floor. So that's the new amount that you cannot lose money under, right? So 1,907.63. Now, the next year, the market goes down again. The S&P is sitting at, the amount of money we have in there is $93,398. So not only do we not have our $100,000 that we started with, we have lost almost $7,000. Whereas the index annuity is still sitting at $109,763. Now, here's the important part about annual reset. The market does not have to get back to where it started in order for you to have gain. Every single year that this resets, it resets at whatever the S&P is at. To give you an example, if the S&P is at 3,000 and it goes down to 2,500, and that's the anniversary, well, then now the S&P, your index annuity, resets at 2,500, and the growth starts from there. So if it goes from 2,500 back up to 3,000, well, you got that growth. You're going to get 50% of that growth from 2,500 to 3,000. If it goes all the way down to, say, 2,000, and then it resets, well, now your growth is going to start from 2,000. It doesn't have to get back up to the 3,000. So every single year, it's going to reset, giving you a new chance of gain. And that tends to work out pretty well in times like what we've seen with the recent downturn due to the coronavirus or COVID-19. If the market went way down, and all of a sudden you had an anniversary during that downtime, well, yeah, maybe that 1 year you didn't have anything credited, but as we see right here, you at least still had it intact. You didn't lose anything. And now the growth is going to start from that lower amount. And so there's a good chance that the next year you may have a good amount of gain that will be credited to make up for the zero that you may have gotten in the down year. So that is also what helps keep portfolios intact, is the fact that in those down years, you're actually not losing money, you're staying even. And then we go up for a few more years. So the S&P is going up and the index annuity are all going up until 2008. 2008, the S&P took a huge hit. Actually, from that 18-month time frame, the amount they lost, and you can find this on Yahoo Finance, was about 50% in that 18-month time frame from October of 2007 to March of 2009. Huge loss. So that's a big hole now that we have to climb out of if we're just using an index fund. And then finally, 2019 was a great year. And at the end of that 1998 to 2019, that window, we go from $100,000 in the S&P 500 to $262,830. Awesome. With the index annuity, we go from 100,000 to 289,956. So it has $27,000 more, basically. So granted, not a huge amount, but what's key here is in any of these years, if you are actually taking income from an S&P 500, if you have to take income from a down market, from a down portfolio, you're going to instigate something called reverse dollar cost averaging. So you're going to be pulling money from a down account. So if you need to pull 4% out, well, that 4% is no longer 4%. It's a higher percentage. And so you're going to drain your portfolio, and it's going to be an even bigger hole that you have to climb out of. And so it's very, very difficult to keep portfolios intact when we are taking money from down accounts. And this is why the power of indexing is so powerful, because now all of those years that you may have had to pull money out, and this doesn't even show that, this is just showing the growth itself. If you would have to pull money out during the same time, maybe we can do another video on what that might look like, because that is even more important. And it's I want to say, it may not be exponentially more damaging, but it is even more damaging than the chart you're seeing right here shows when you have to take money from down accounts. So indexing could be a very, very important piece of someone's retirement portfolio. And it's worth looking into if you are anywhere from 5 to 10 years out from retirement, or especially if you are in retirement and you feel like you may be taking on too much risk in your portfolio to where another coronavirus or another market upsetter could come along and knock out a portfolio. This could give you a good amount of protection from any of that downside risk while still giving you good upside potential. So that's it. Once again, Nate Miller, founder of Miller Retirement Group, and that is the power of indexing. Thank you.